as you look back today and you're sitting with 5 of the gentlemen that you started this story with, is there a sense of, good God, I can't believe we did it?
Before I answer your question, let me thank Nandan Nilekani and Salil Parikh for reviving the company in 2017 and accelerating the growth over the last 5 years. It is an extraordinary journey. What has happened since 2017 till today is truly extraordinary. We who have been watching it with admiration are all so proud of what these two people, with their teams of course, have achieved. Therefore, a big note of gratitude to both these people. Now, when we founded Infosys, there was a discussion in my one-bedroom apartment in Mumbai in May 1981. The company was registered in July 1981, but this discussion was about deciding on what is it that we need to seek in coming together and then moving forward. There was a discussion, as became usual with Infosys, long discussions on strategic issues in an environment of enlightened democracy. And finally, we agreed on seeking respect from every stakeholder. So we wanted to create a company of the professional, for the professional, and by the professional, as Abe Lincoln defined the US democracy, to seek respect from every one of the stakeholders. That was our first objective. The second thing that we decided was, we all came from middle-class families. Well, a couple of these, our people, all these 6 or 7, whatever it is, 7, Mr. Raghavan is not here today. They were from upper middle class, but the rest of us were from lower middle class. But one thing was very clear. Our values were in total sync. We all had the desire to conduct an experiment in the democratization of wealth that has not happened in this country since 1980s that we took that decision. Third, as people with high aspiration, we wanted to demonstrate to the world that it is possible for a company registered in India to demonstrate the highest level of governance, the highest level of excellence in running the company and in every function. So I would say that these were some of the top level objectives that we set for ourselves.
And have you been able to achieve all of those objectives?
By and large, yes. By and large, yes. We have done that. But we have to remember that all of us agreed that we want to be a company that moves on to at least 100 years. As you know, Shereen, you know better than I do, that the oldest ever company is about 250 years old. So we said at least for 100 years this company has to flourish. So therefore I would be less than honest if I said that we have completed our task. Right now it is in the hands of 2 extraordinary people. We are cheering them from the sidelines, and I have no doubt that they will pass the baton on to equally competent and equally value-based people. That's what I would say.
not. Okay. It hasn't been an easy journey, clearly. I mean, there are differences. There hasn't been consensus on every issue, but you have evolved a consensus mechanism through the course of the last 4 decades to be able to get to where you are today. As you look at the journey today, rewind back to some of the inflection points, and more importantly, as Mr. Murthy says, if he's given you the task of another 60 years for the company to flourish, what are you going to do? What does the action agenda look like?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Shereen, and you've always been watching us, and you know more about us than we know about ourselves, so it's a little problematic sometimes. I think, first of all, let me say that when I met Murthy way back in '79, he was the most charismatic leader I'd met. And I think he spotted talent, or hopefully talent, and he gave us opportunity. And frankly, if he had said jump off the cliff, we would have jumped off the cliff. It was that level of loyalty and we had for him. So when he proposed the idea of this company, it was a no-brainer. And we must remember something, that the rest of us who are about 10 years younger than him and with Raghavan, we didn't have much to lose. We were in our 20s. It was not a big deal. But for him, it was a huge thing to lose, because he was at the top of his career. He was the head of the software group at a very good company, and he was earning a lot of money. And for him, frankly, and his wife Sudha, who gave up a job at Telco, I think the costs of doing this were much, much higher, and he just took it. So I think we were very committed to that. But I forgot your question. I think, we're having this problem. All of us are having senior...
The other thing that Nandan Nilekani told me is that make sure that you get a team that grows old together. This is clearly a sign of that.
Now we are all into our senior moments. So if you find that we forget things, please excuse us. No. We are past our prime. Yeah.
No, my question was, for the next 60 years, he set you clearly an action agenda.
I think I do have this huge responsibility because going back to his phrase of 2006, I'm the last of the jokers left.
Do you miss having the other jokers around?
Oh, yeah. It's no one to talk to. I only talk to Salil, but Salil is so busy selling that I can't talk to him also. So I think my challenge is a little more acute because, since I have some founder's clout and all that, I can do some. But I'll be handing over to a chairman at whatever point that I exit from the scene, who will be the first, not the first, but a non-founder. And now there's no plan B now. I mean, if I hand over to somebody and it doesn't work out, there's no plan B. I can't come back at some 75 or something. So, and I don't think any of these guys want to come back either. So
maybe we should ask them.
You can ask them. Maybe they want to come back. They haven't told me. So anyway, I think so there's no plan B. So I have to make sure that when I exit the scene, I implement his vision of putting in place the leadership structure, people, and with the right values to take it forward. So that's really actually the biggest thing on my head.
And that's a serious issue. And I want to get you to comment on what you just said, Nandan, because as you pointed out, you said there is no plan B. In light of what has happened previously, what is it that you believe needs to be put in place to ensure that you get it right? Because this has been a challenge. Let's be clear about that. And secondly, do you believe that in hindsight, and I want to ask each one of you, and Mr. Murthy, I want to ask you as well, that this hard coding that at 60 you need to move away, at 60 you need to retire, at 60 it is the sunset. Do you believe in hindsight today that maybe it should have been different?
No, I mean, look, if not 60, maybe 65. All that is fine. But look, at the end of the day, we're all mortal, right? We're not going to be around. And that's one of the reasons why we're having the 40th is we don't know whether they're there for the 50th. So, really, seriously, I'm not joking. Let's get this done because I don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now. So you have to, how do you create institutions that outlive you? How do you create institutions that cross generations? How do you create institutions that move from an ownership model to a totally professional model? In fact, when we first began, Murthy said, we will be the ultimate professionals company. I remember our first tagline was professionals company. But what you realize now is that, you need to have a combination of, professional ownership, all that stuff. So I think it's not clear to me what's going to happen.
It's not clear to you what's going
I mean,
on.
I still
That's
haven't-
not very reassuring to hear.
No, I mean, I haven't found yet a person whom I can hand off to. Let's put it that way.
What is the timeline that you're giving yourself?
I'm not going to talk here.
Okay, all right. I want to understand from you, how do you look back in the rearview mirror at what the story has turned out to be and what you believe has got it to where it is?
Well, what has got us where it is today includes not just the founders. It includes 350,000 people now, plus many more who have passed through the portals of Infosys. You know, it's a collective, I think, collective effort of all the people. Yes, you know, there have been leaders who have driven the company, and there will be leaders in the future too. What has made us successful is that, and we saw this yesterday, you know, in some of the panel discussions that we have had as part of the 40th anniversary celebration. Everyone, you know, demonstrated or talked about their passion for Infosys, the Infosys purpose, the idea that is Infosys. I think as I look back, I think that idea of Infosys, the purposeful organization, has been embraced by a large number of people. I think collectively, they have made sure that the company progresses in the right direction. That, I believe, is what made the difference for the company.
What do you believe the learnings can be from the past as you look at the future?
So, as you said, I think Infosys is a company which believed that strategy is 5% and execution is 95%. If you look at the last 40 years, you know, you can see it at every step of the way. We have done so many things first in India. We were the first Indian company to get CMM level 4, CMM level 5. We were the first Indian company to have employee stock option plan, which created all of this wealth. First Indian company to be listed on NASDAQ. So each one of these are actually execution milestones. Now, when I look at one of the fundamental premises which we had in 1981, it was that technology will become eventually ubiquitous, and that has happened in many ways. Today, technology is ubiquitous, but I don't think the story has ended. I think in the next 100 years, the 60 years which Nandan will see through, there will be a great many opportunities which will come the way of not only Infosys, the Indian industry as well. And finally, it comes down to taking advantage and executing to those opportunities.
You need to give me an unheard, untold story.
So actually, I remember in 1991, Infosys was trying to establish a connection between Bangalore and Schenectady. GE was one of our biggest clients, and Infosys wanted to establish this connectivity between Bangalore and Schenectady. And Mr. Murthy, so I was in US at that point in time, Mr. Murthy met me and said, Shibu, we have to establish this connectivity. So at that time, so I asked him, Mr. Murthy, give me some money so that I can do this. He said he started at $10,000 to do this connectivity. Finally, I convinced him to give me $100,000. That was the budget which he approved. And of course, the connectivity got done. It probably was one of the first in India to establish that kind of a connectivity. Not only that, we established the connectivity in a hub and spoke model so that we could connect a lot of clients over to that line. And I think it became a standard over a period of time. So, I always remember this, that Mr. Murthy said, Shibu, please get this done in $100,000 in 100 days. That's all you have. I don't think I delivered it in 100 days. I delivered it in $100,000.
You have to give me an untold story.
Oh, God. Okay. No, you brought back a lot of memories related to what you have discussed so far. I'll tell you 2 or 3 stories if there is time. But you know what Albert Einstein said? I thought I should quote that here. Try not to become a man of success, but rather a man of value. So you were asking, how Infosys will be there for next 60 years or 100 years. We believe, as Shibu has and Chris have already said, We have laid the right foundations required for that with a core set of values. As long as that is being followed, the C life, customer comes first, leadership by example, integrity, transparency, fairness, and execution excellence. This is being done, and that culture has been created, we believe, by the leaders. Now, the unique story that I want to share is, I was telling Murthy also, we had won a project, a product contract with Reebok in France, somewhere in 1990, if I am right. The story is, we went there, we were all staying in an apartment. Now, this is very important for us to know through this example, the leadership by example, qualities of some of the leaders who were there in that. So, we went there, we were all staying in one apartment. I hope I have your permission, Murthy, to quote this, And I was leading the project. He was nice enough to accept me as a leader. Hats off to you, sir. And then we were all staying in the apartment. My job as a project leader is to make sure all my people sleep well also, and eat reasonably well and work well, of course. So then I noticed for 2-3 days, Murthy had not slept well. So I asked him, Murthy, what is happening? He won't tell. So finally, somehow we were able to convince him there is a problem. And the problem was, Dinesh, I can't sleep because there is Jugalbandi in the night. What Jugalbandi, Murthy? On one side, you're snoring, and other side, Prahlad is snoring. I can't sleep. So next day onwards, we made sure that he has an exclusive room. We were able to shift to other places. Now the agreement was that, okay, then Murthy said, we have to be there before even the client comes to the office. That is his ethos. Customer comes first. We have to show we are committed to this. They are giving us opportunity. So then Murthy would get up at 4 o'clock because there is only one bathroom. There is only one bathroom. All of us can't take bath at the same time. So then he would get up at 4:30 he will finish. And that's not the end of the story. 4:30 he takes bath and cleans up the entire bathroom for the next person to take bath. That was his ethos, leadership by example.
What do you miss the most about not being here at Infosys?
No, I think we had made it a fun. When you make your work in the office a fun, I don't need to tell you because you have excelled in what you do. I think the workload doesn't hit you at all. And each of us was trying to make the life of the other people a little bit better by jokes, by how we conducted ourselves, by discussing about things, etc. So I think when you have similar values, when you are ready to put the interest of the company ahead of your personal interest in the short and medium term, in the hope that in the long term, you will be better off in the medium and long term, then the job becomes easier. Now let me tell you you wanted me to talk about some inside stories. Most of the things that I will talk about will be pre-Infosys. Maybe one or two, maybe Infosys one. The first thing that I will start this way.
Nandan, get ready.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you. When I was the head of software at PCS, I had started this learnability test. I defined learnability as the ability to extract generic inferences out of specific instances and using them to solve new unstructured problems. That's basically intelligence. Basically intelligence. Nandan walked into my room at PCS on 18th of February 1979. No, I remember. No, because I'm pretty good in dates and some of these. I'm very poor in faces. I can't put a name to a face. So he said, I want a job. I said, young man, this is February. Why are you coming for the job now? He said, no, I want to go to a business school in the US. And therefore, I was preparing for my GMAT or whatever that is. So now I'm free till September, so I want. But, I had a principle. It is better to have an intelligent man with you, no matter how short that period is, because that intelligence will add tremendous value. So I gave him my tough learnability test. Of all the people that I gave that, he was the only one who got 50 out of 50. I mean, that's a fact. Second, no, I was not satisfied with that. Because I have this principle, the reward for winning the semi-finals is to get to play a tougher game, which is the finals. So I had developed an IQ test called matrix rotation. He remembers.
This could be a movie.
That's a very interesting test. This is not the time to discuss that. I gave him. And the really intelligent people did it in about a minute and a half. The reasonably intelligent people took about 5 minutes again. And he did it in a minute and a half. That's outside Infosys, but that's the experience I had with him. Now come to Chris. Chris was not recruited by me. He was recruited by Mr. Ashok Patni.
Somehow that I escaped.
Chris...
Both the matrix rotation as well as the learnability test.
He escaped it. He escaped it. But Chris...
That's the reason I'm sitting here today.
And two more people, bright people, Dilip Sontake and Bhagavat, I forget his full name. They were there, Rajiv Bhagavat. They were three of them joined the same day. And PCS, I had accepted a project to design India's first distributed process control system for handling 7 LD furnaces to produce steel. And, that is in my opinion, leaving aside some of these, ISRO real-time systems, I personally feel this is the most complicated software ever built in India. And this man is a 23-year-old fellow. He was sitting always calm in his seat. He wouldn't be exuberant. The other two would come and say, no, I used to give them some minor thing. They would be excited. They would ask 10 questions, but he never asked. At the end, he would produce the thing. So he took up that responsibility for building India's first distributed process control system. He was aided by a gold medalist from IIT Bombay, Naresh Motwan. Naresh. But Naresh was assisting him. But this 23-year-old kid was the project leader. So I think I have had excellent colleagues, absolutely no doubt about it. And I think, as I told you earlier, it is their innate goodness, the trust that they have developed in each one of us, their aspirations, their ability to say, I will do the plausibly impossible, their desire to reach for the sky, and in the process make whatever sacrifice is needed in the short term. I think that really is what made this team come so far from 1979 when Nandan joined PCS to today.
The startup ecosystem is seeing money like never before. Mr. Murthy started Infosys at 35. Now I think the average age of a startup founder is in their early 20s. As you look at what's happening in this ecosystem, what is it that worries you? What is that gives you hope, confidence, and optimism as well?
No, I think what impresses me with many of these young founders is their ambition, their understanding of business, the strategic thinking. And some of them are exceptional in that. What worries me is, do they want to build an institution? I think really the hard part is to build an institution. You know, it's a marathon race. You run for it for 30, 40 years now. And today we are as optimistic and as, working as hard as 40 years back. So I think, do these guys have the stamina to play the long game? I think that's what worries me. So I think overall I'm still very bullish on the startup world.
Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again for joining me today to talk about the last 40 years, your stories, the journey, the experiences that you take away. We appreciate your time.